So I'm making the bread for Shavuot. I'm waiting on my yeast. You know, and I always, even though I do this in order every time, boil the water to dissolve the honey, and then I have to cool the water down so I can have the yeast. But I'm always waiting on the yeast. But anyways, I figured let's see if I can remember. I did a presentation last year on what everything symbolically is. I'm stirring up my eggs in my well here with the olive oil. So eggs are a picture of rebirth. You know, and challah itself is consecrated, means consecrated, just like we are to be consecrated to Yahweh, set apart. It's the set apart bread, and it's the Pharisees started making this because the Sadducees had control, you know, the temple services. So the Pharisees wanted to do things, you know, have a say, you know, so they would kind of do temple services. Each home became a temple essentially. So they'd have bread in Mark 7. They had the hand washing you would do before blessing and handling the bread. That was the context there, is consecrated bread. So yeah, of course you wash your hands. That's what we do every Sabbath. We have a ceremony of hand washing before touching the bread. After, you know, we bless the wine. So egg, just a picture of, you know, Hebrew means to pass through medium water, be reborn. Egg's just a picture of rebirth. And then we have the olive oil. Of course, the olive oil is what lit the menorah, and the menorah to stay constantly lit in the temple. That was a picture of the tree of life, and just like we are to be a light in the darkness. And you know, we have flour. Flour could be, you know, we could give an offering of flour, of fine flour, to the Lord, and then we have salt in there too, and that salt is also something that would be put on the sacrifices. It'd be a sweet savor unto the Lord. And then of course you got the honey. So normally in Shavuot you'd make like a dairy dish because it's all about, it's a pilgrim feast, one of the 3 pilgrim feasts. So you go to the land of milk and honey. So we got honey, and we got we do another dairy dish. So we do cheesecake or something like that as well during Shavuot. I don't know if I have time for that, or if anyone's stomach can even handle it. But we'll do something along those lines. Yeah, I don't know, it's not here. I have almond flour, but it's in there. Almond flour, just another picture of the temple. It's not something the Pharisees would do, but just, you know, that the menorah itself was an almond tree. So just another temple picture there, tabernacle thing. We get the yeast to help get the bread to rise. I'm waiting for the yeast to rise. Actually, that's pretty close. That's just, of course, classically a picture of sin, right? So that's why we would go to the temple, not to be cleansed of sin. Of course, only one sacrifice could do that, and that was Jesus' death. And we just remember also that Shavuot is Pentecost, right? Christians celebrate Pentecost, which is the giving of the Spirit. But also on Shavuot, the law was given at Mount Sinai. So those are 2 very similar events, right? You were given the instructions, and then you were given the guide who helped you kind of have a feeling, understanding, deeper understanding to walk the walk, if you will. So there's the symbolic of each item there, the bread, in case I missed any. Usually on top you'll put some sesame seeds or poppy seeds, and there's the 2 stones are pretty much considered a white and blacks. There'd be 1 stone white, 1 black, was the Urim and Thummim. Yes, they're in the Bible, several places, and that's something only the high priest would use for divination. You know, but you know, you're not allowed to do divination, but the high priest would do a form of that. They're pretty much like getting a yes or no answer from God. It says, like in the book of Samuel, that Saul would try to consult the Urim and Thummim, and God would not answer him because, you know, he was no longer his anointed, right? So divination don't work, right, if God doesn't answer on the other side. So you'd be like a stone that would light up for yes, someone that would light up for no. It's just remembering to pray. Not always just asking for stuff, but always asking just to be living in God's will, you know? It's all about returning to the kingdom here, returning to the land of milk and honey, and just remembering the giving of the Torah, the giving of the Holy Spirit, and just setting yourselves apart by doing those things. That's what Shavuot means to me. Classically, people read the book of Ruth, so that's something good to do. and that's the wheat harvest, right? Every pilgrim feast is a harvest festival. So the barley harvest was Passover, and the wheat harvest. So that's why we're making the wheats. I only have a little bit of wheat. One thing, little culinary trick, if you're a terrible bread maker like me and you braid the bread and it always splits, if you add almond flour and a good bit of gluten-free flour, it doesn't rise as much. It means it's not going to split as much because it's not going to puff as much. It's going to look prettier and it's tastier to me, and it heartier and healthier. But that's it. That's all I got. Happy Shavuot.